Hey doing, folks? Welcome back to the GM's Alcove, Part 3. My Pathfinder collection. I wasn't going to make this part. I wasn't going to show off the starter boxes or the beginner boxes for Pathfinder, but I was asked about them, and I thought I'd do so. So in this episode, I'm going to show off the starter boxes, or the beginner's boxes, for Pathfinder, starting with 1E. All right, so let's dig in. This is the first edition beginner's box. This is the ideal way to get started in Pathfinder. Always was and remains so to this day. This is a fantastic beginner's box for first edition. And this is essentially how I got into the game. I mean, I bought the rules. I had all the core books, the bestiaries, the core rule book, the GMG, the Game Master Guide. And, you know, you can run the game from that. It takes a little longer, a little more effort. To do so. I mean, not that it was a completely overwhelming game system, but when you have something like this as an option, this is definitely the way to go. They basically condense the rules down just enough so you get just enough to handle if you're brand new to Pathfinder, as well as role-playing in general. This is a great starter box. And yeah, I got started with this, really. This got me into the hobby. And yeah, I love these little boxes too. They're perfectly sized, got a nice heft to them and everything else. Love it. And I haven't opened this up in a long time, so we're going to see what's in here. Of course, there's a bag of pawns, as they're known. Various monsters and characters with stands. You get those. A little flyer here. Useful stuff, of course. And I might have got this about 5 years ago. Nice little high gloss flyers. Little printout that I made, Sandpoint, a couple copies. That was the base starting town in Pathfinder beginner box. You get 2 core books for beginner box, 2 main books. You get the Game Master's Guide. This is for the Game Master, and it tells him how to run games. Gives him a full allotment of monsters with their stats, magic items to use in his own creations, everything about hazards, traps, various environments you can have adventures in, aquatic hills, mountain terrain, swamp terrain, forest terrain, so it's not all dungeons, of course. There's traps, all kinds of good stuff. Again, this isn't everything in Pathfinder, but it's a little bit of everything in the game of Pathfinder. So you're not overwhelmed. Nice little example map. Very traditional D&D feel to that map there. I like it. How to build an adventure. And so on and so forth. So, and there is an adventure in here as well. To run. Black Fang's Dungeon, which takes place near Sandpoint. Which is all detailed here. And there is a description of Sandpoint with maps, some of the main NPCs, additional quest ideas for your own little campaigns, common skill DCs, conditions, an overview, common map symbols. So this is a good rundown of basically Pathfinder in a nutshell. Again, first edition. And, of course, the GM has to have access to this. He also has access to this, the Hero's Handbook. And this is all the players will need to read to be able to play. And it's only, what, 64 pages, including the index. And that's not much, considering Pathfinder is such a big game. How to level up, how to play the game, essentially. The mindset, if you were. Various bits of adventuring gear that are commonly available. Armor, weapons, shields, and so on and so forth. Stuff about skills, ride, perception, swim, all the basics that you need. How to create the character. For instance, there's everything about the wizard. Get a rundown, how he starts at first level, covers everything in a step-by-step progression. These letters are linked to the character sheet, so you know what section of the character sheet you're filling out. There's some spells, first level. Everything about the wizard is contained right here in these few pages. And yeah, finishing off your character. So this is character creation as well. This is all you really needed to read to get going. There's the cleric, various deities you can pick. And again, like I said, it was with the starter boxes or the beginner boxes, everything is condensed. You don't have access to all the options. And one of the reasons Pathfinder, the core rulebook, is so big is because the vast majority of it is all reference. It's just lists of equipment, spells, feats you can gain, magic items, things that you don't need to read when you're learning the game. It's just a lot of extras that you'll gain access to and look up as you play, as you encounter these things. So a lot is condensed. They give you fewer magic items, fewer spells, fewer options. But there's your 2 books. Not bad. And again, this is how I got into it. A little map I made there. Interesting. More maps. You make your own little adventures. And it also came with some character sheets. Some starting characters where you don't have to do anything. Pre-gens, basically, 4 of them. You get the iconic cleric, Kyra. The iconic fighter, Belaros. The iconic wizard, Ezrin. And the iconic rogue, Mauricio. Yeah, a little bit of information about them, what they are. A little rundown on their backstory. Again, these are iconic characters. They're featured throughout the Pathfinder game system. And everything about your character and how you run them. As you can see, the character sheet is coded. And that's linked to the rule book, as I showed you. And this is all a player needs. Just get this out and you can start playing. And again, it's got the 4 pre-gens, and then it's got some blank sheets for you to make your own things. I kind of filled that one out, it seems. And let's see what else we got. This was something unique to my version. It's the transition guide. Basically, okay, I've played the starter box. What next? That's what this is for. An easy little booklet on how to transition to the full rule book and really start enjoying the depth that Pathfinder offers in fantasy gaming. Converting adventures, 6th level and beyond. Yeah, new rules to know, taking the next step, and so on and so forth. Just a little extra book. Let's see, what is this? The Pathfinder Combat Pad, 1st edition. This is a separate product that I bought. I was wondering where this was. It's magnetic. It's for keeping track of initiative, durations of things, and that sort of thing. That's a whole different separate product. And that's the 1st edition one, which I have. So there is that. This is usable in 2nd edition, by the way. So you can still use this. And finally, we get pawns. And these came with little black plastic pieces where you can slide them in and they stand up. I kind of showed them when I opened the box. And these are awesome, especially if you don't have miniatures. If you want to represent more complex combats. They're double-sided, of course. You don't see the backs of the creatures, but you do see the front on both sides. So there is that. And it comes with a bunch of these. And again, all these are still usable too. Pathfinder 2nd edition. I love these, actually. Miniatures gamer, but I don't have all the miniatures for all these creatures. And these really come in handy. Nice little cool art. And this is everything you'll need based on the monsters provided in the Game Master Guide in this box set. So you get all the little tokens for that, in addition to some extras for your own creation, plus heroes. So there is that. Now I should add, there's something missing here, and that would be the flip mat. This does actually come with a flip mat, as you can see right there. And this is dry erase, wet erase. One side is blank, you can put your own details. The other side is the adventure that comes in the Game Mastery Guide. And yeah, you take your little pawns, move them around, set them up, fight the battles on the map. Got your character sheets and your book references. You are good to go. And it also came with a full set of polyhedral dice, 7, I think. you get 2d10s. So yeah, you get that as well. And of course, I've kind of looted this box for various things, so not everything is in here. But yeah, that is the beginner box for first edition 1E, and it is a great way to get started. I got started that way, even though I had all the full core books. This is what got me playing. So yeah, now let's take a look at the second edition version. All right, so here we are. This is the second edition Pathfinder beginner box. I'm going to take a look at this. And again, it's same size box, same heft to it and weight. I love these things. And there's a look at the contents. Again, you're going to get pretty much the same thing you get in the first edition beginner box, although there are some unique features to this one. One of those big features is, unlike the first edition, none of the rules of Pathfinder are altered in any way to accommodate new players using the beginner box. This literally is just a condensed version of the full Pathfinder game, second edition. Here's Ezrin. We'll set him aside. Of course, I haven't opened this in a while either. Again, you're getting pawns once again with the plastic bases for your models. It's a different color in here for a special monster as well. I think that's all of them. This one, like I mentioned with the first edition one, it comes with a flip mat. And this one as well comes with a flip mat. Really awesome. And Paizo sells these as separate products, these flip mats. And this is the one you get with the beginner box. And it's pretty big. There's a look at it briefly. And yeah, dry erase, wet erase, no problem. On the reverse side is also the adventure that comes with the beginner box. So this is you don't get a blank side to this to do your own thing. It's one flip mat and it's double-sided, and each side is part of the adventure that comes in this beginner box. Much like the first edition, this does come with an adventure for beginning characters. And it's a much bigger dungeon, actually. It's got 2 levels to it as opposed to 1. And that's reflected by this flip mat. Of course, here's your 2 books. Once again, you've got the Hero's Handbook for the players, and you've got the Game Master's Guide for the Game Master, for running the games. So you've got the same books updated for second edition. Let's take a look at these real quick. Beautiful updated art, references, sheets, and this is everything first edition beginner box was. The Hero's Handbook, only better. They've done an outstanding job making the game as accessible for new players as possible. Full section on conditions, of course, descriptions of the rules and how they work. And again, everything is the full rules of Pathfinder. So nothing has been changed. A description of the basic actions you can do. Again, second edition stuff we're talking here. Which I absolutely love. There's an example of the character sheet, all your stats, everything about playing the game. Skills, creating a character, of course, all the feats you can take, and so on and so forth. So again, just the basics of creating a character and how to play the game, so on and so forth. I think there is a solo adventure in here, and that's what this is, so I won't give that away. Pirate King's Plunder. But anyway, there you go. That's the Hero's Handbook, basically your player's book. GM book right here, running adventures, creating your own adventures, running the game, everything. Again, quick reference charts, color coding, giving out experience points, the index, of course, and then I think this is all about the base setting. The first edition was Sandpoint. The second edition is Otari. Full description and layout. As much information as you'll need, anyway. Future adventures, so on and so forth. And a bestiary for you. Again, whole selection of monsters. And again, magic items, DCs, how to do social interactions. And of course, here is the actual adventure that comes with this game for the GM to run. Again, it's 2 levels instead of just 1. And this is how I got my campaign started. I started playing Menace Under Otari, which is what this adventure is called. It's fantastic. Very enjoyable little adventure. And what else do we got? Again, I haven't looked in this box in a long time. So there might be some things in here that might even surprise me. And again, you get the character sheets. I believe you get 4 iconic characters. Once again, Valeros, Kyra, Mauricio, the Elven Rogue, the iconic. And of course, Ezrin is over here yet. Get him as well. And a little description of what they are. Play this with it if you want to. Blah, blah, blah. Little backstory to Ezrin. And then the full character sheet to play the game. And again, this is all a player needs. As well as some other little fun things I'll show in a second. Description of all their spells, little check boxes next to them to show that you cast them. Codes to areas on your character sheet to look at things. Ability modifiers, section D, what's that? Oh, it's over here. There you go. Easy to find. All the skills, and so on and so forth. Very good. So you get 4 iconics. Once again, same iconics. There's a little picture of my 6-year-old nephew's character. Yes, he has played this with us. Notes for me. A full selection of pawns, once again, reflecting the creatures in the adventure, as well as in the bestiary, or the monsters section, in the Game Master Guide. And there's lots of good stuff in here. The quality of these is top-notch, even better than the first edition ones. And yes, it doesn't show the backs, but it does show the fronts on both sides. So there is that. And you get a lot of stuff in here, including for heroes. So here's a whole selection of these, more than enough for your games. You get blank character sheets as well, just like in first edition. You could fill these out and create characters of your own. And yeah, that's all these are. We get a whole bunch of them. There's like 6, maybe more. And yeah, creating your own characters. Awesome. And I believe the beginner boxes allow you 4 ancestries and 4 classes. Wizard, Fighter, Cleric, and Rogue. I believe those are the only options. I think Paizo released some expansions to your game so you can add other classes if you wanted. This is fantastic. This second edition beginner box is just so awesome. And Paizo was good enough to actually expand on the contents of this box. Troubles in Otari was an expansion. It was made up of, I believe, 3 separate adventures that you can pick up where you left off with the adventure in here, which is Menace Under Otari. And same setting, and it assumes that you're playing, with the same characters that you used in the beginner box. So it expanded the beginner box with some additional adventures that you can use if you're playing the beginner box. Also, they did likewise with the Abomination Vaults AP, which essentially you can also use to get into. If you started with the beginner box, you could get into the Abomination Vaults. It takes place near Atari. So you're all set. So hats off to Paizo for supporting players of the beginner's box in a great way. So there is that. This is how I started my campaign. Played Menace Under Otari. Haven't played any of the Troubles in Otari yet. I still have those 3 adventures on the side to play at any time. And we jumped right into Abomination Vaults. Same setting, same characters. Fantastic. So there is that. You get these blank sheets, and you get the pre-made, pre-gen iconics, some flyers, of course, Pathfinder Society. That's Paizo's organized play for Pathfinder, if you don't know. The adventure continues. Other books you can buy. I showed these off in my other videos. Read this first, of course. That's very useful. Now, let's see. What didn't I show you? There's the double-sided flip mat, character sheets, the books, the pre-gens, the dice, pawns, and, of course, these little cards. What is this, you might ask? Now, you get 6 of these, I believe, or is there just 4? No, there's 6. And these cards were first introduced with the Starfinder beginner box. And what they are, each player would get one of these, and they're all the same. There's 6 of them. On one side, you have this neat little place to put a marker. During combats, there's these little markers that you punch out. They look like this, and they represent actions. Okay? Every turn, you get 3 actions. 1, 2, 3. And a reaction right there. Every turn. And as you take your actions, as a new player, you will put a little marker, a little counter, on each of these little circles. Oh, I'm going to stride up to the door. Okay, put your little counter on that. That took 1 action. Okay, then I'm going to draw my sword. Okay, that's another action. Put a marker on that one. You have 1 more action left. What do? I attack. All right, make your attack roll and put a marker on that space there. Later on, he decides to use attack of opportunity against a monster that's moving out of his zone. He marks that with another marker. That's a reaction. So this is a way to keep track of that for brand new players. It's fantastic. A little description of the various actions you can take. This isn't all of them. You can do anything you want, really, in the full game. But this is the basic stuff, like step, stand, stride, strike, seek, leap, interact, drop, prone. It's all here. And it tells you how many of your 3 actions and reaction each action expends. All these are pretty much 1 action actions. Checks. The basic core mechanic of Pathfinder is right there. D20 plus statistic, plus proficiency in whatever skill you have. Whatever skill you're using, or attack, or whatever. If you're trained in something, that will also add to your D20 plus your stat. I won't go into that, but yeah. And on the back, nice little reference of common conditions. Now, there's a lot of conditions in Pathfinder, I think over 40. This is just a small portion of the most commonly used ones in the game, or the ones you will most likely encounter in the beginner box. Absolutely fantastic if someone is brand new. You give them one of these pre-gen sheets, lay out the color-coded dice, and give them this, along with some tokens to mark this, and they are golden. They are good to go. You can teach the game just with that. They don't even need to look at the player's book. Fantastic way to learn the game. That's all I can say. And, of course, here's the tokens for that I mentioned. More little stand-ups. And 6 of them. And this little card here, Sirenscape, which adds sounds and ambience and music to your games. Fantastic. Folks, that is the Beginner's Box 2nd edition. I showed off the 1st edition earlier. I hope you enjoyed. Great way to get into this game. It follows on with traditional way of D&D, where you'd get a box set, and there was always a beginning adventure, a solo adventure, and it got you into the game. This continues that. It's a basic version of the game that feels so satisfying to play. I highly recommend, if you want to get into Pathfinder, start with this. It's so easy to manage. You don't feel overwhelmed at all. Kudos to Paizo for putting this out for 1st and 2nd edition, and even Starfinder has a very similar one to this. I love it, and I got started playing using this very box set and the previous one. So there you go, folks. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed this series. That's the beginner boxes. Till next time, folks. You got any questions? Let me know. Yeah. Till next time, folks. You guys hang in there. It's only going to get better, and you know it. Talk to you soon, folks. Toodaloos.